And good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Allen.
I'm Andrea Anderson. The Brandon Valley School District announced that Valley Springs Elementary School will be closing down at the end of this school year.
Now, the plan here was to always close that school, but not until the new Eastside Elementary opened in 2025. Parker Brown has more on the effect of all of this in our 10 o'clock top story. Parker.
Brian and Andrea, the decision to close Valley Springs Elementary was a result of the school district not meeting projected growth of their enrollment, causing constraints on the district's budget. The end result is 65 students relocating to Brandon Elementary, over 5 miles away.
Winds of change have reached Valley Springs sooner than anticipated. Moving up the closure has been a cause for concern for parents, forcing a decision of where to send their kids sooner. Some parents already moved their kids from the soon-to-be closed school.
My daughter's in 4th grade. She's a class of 8. There were a couple of families that actually went elsewhere when they found out that they were going to have to share specials classes, music, gym, art class with the 3rd graders. So they went elsewhere. They went to Hills, Minnesota. They went to Ben Rifle. They went to Brandon.
Distance from the rest of the district presents another challenge.
Brandon is more than 5 miles from Valley Springs. So what are they going to do for busing? The Valley bus goes to Brandon and to Sioux Falls and then back to Valley. Some of those kids are on the bus for like 2 hours before they get dropped off in Valley again.
There are many things hanging in the balance other than busing, too. One of the biggest questions now is what will be done with the old school building.
Yeah, well, the first thing we're going to do is turn the thermostat down. Okay? You let the dust settle. We will not be demoing that building in the next year, but I would tell you that we have long-range plans. Once our high school reaches capacity, that we will create a specialized high school academy out there.
It was a difficult decision, and the school district has been working to right the ship while making sure that they keep giving students a good education and taking care of their staff.
Ultimately, it is a necessity for the Brandon Valley School District to do this. Incredibly hard, incredibly challenging, incredibly emotional, but absolutely necessary, and most certainly in the best interest of the Brandon Valley School District.
The Brandon Valley School District has tried to be transparent throughout this process. They say that they can't point to any one specific reason why their enrollment growth did not meet expectations, but they have since been able to combat their budget deficit. Brian and Andrea.